You sometimes forget just how strange the world really is to someone unaccustomed to it. Imagine a tribesperson of the Amazon rainforest walking into your home and being marveled by what we consider utterly mundane. Now imagine what it's like for you to live in their home. I live in New Zealand, which is blessed by bushes far and wide, but for my predominantly American audience, I imagine this would be totally bizarre. This is where the strength of Grounded's world lies, in the power of perception. There is nothing in the world you're more familiar with than your home. It's your constant, the place your life orbits around. So when Grounded is able to take a place you know so well and distort it in such a way it becomes a fight for survival, there's only one word to describe it: alien. I believe this was the mission statement in making Grounded's world. Make it feel alien. The way that everything is totally unrecognizable plays more into the power of perspective that Grounded has utilized so well. The feeling of trudging along the crowded world of Grounded, pushing past the brimming blades of grass as immense insectoids scurry around you. It's almost identical to the sensations I got when I was playing The Outer Worlds in 2019. Obsidian has almost certainly done a far more impressive job with Grounded, as it recontextualizes things we consider non-threats into oversized obstacles to overcome. Mosquitoes that are an annoyance to us become terrifying titans of the sky, where the droning inspires dread rather than displeasure. Ponds become oceans of unfathomable depths, where a vicious whale wallows in wait. The hedge becomes a jungle, where gigantic arachnids scuttle along the bone-laden floor of this treetop terror. All of these things are what makes Grounded so unique, the way it takes a place that you may have loved to play in as a child and transforms it into a fight to see the next sunrise poke over that garden fence. All while retaining the vibrant beauty that you would find in a child's imagination. While the world of Grounded is unforgiving, its distinct, colourful style makes it far more cheery than the gameplay would have you believe. Waking up at the crack of dawn on your makeshift bed, as the pocket-sized ecosystem begins to start the day along with you, the sun peeking over that wooded horizon. It's a very calming feeling, and in these moments the game feels more prehistoric than alien, although there's no doubt that sci-fi is the underlying layer of Grounded, because of the mechanical hubs that lurk beneath the surface of the unyielding yard. The main challenge of Grounded is the world itself, as to progress the plot you have to make your way to the laboratories located in precarious positions around the yard. The labs are an excellent contrast to the perils of the yard that you had to face to reach them, and feel calm and orderly compared to the wild unpredictability of what lies just outside their walls. While the labs and robots within them are certainly too futuristic for the time period the game takes place in, they're all made with the, let's call it, exuberance of the 80s. The overuse of neon, the DJ track that plays whenever you pick up some raw science! It's sci-fi that's appropriate for the 80s, if you get what I mean. The hard part isn't the mini-dungeon that the lab itself provides, but it's making your way to the labs. This is credited to the level design of Grounded, and it's when the game is at its most exciting. When you've finally finished crafting everything you'll need for the journey, and are about to set off into an area you haven't been able to access, but you know holds new and deadly dangers. It's extraordinary when you take your first steps into the haze, or dive into the depths of the pond, seeing the new biomes and realizing how intricate they are. You have to fight your urge to harvest every new material you see, as your mind spirals into all of the gear you could build with this unique selection of materials, not to mention how distinct these biomes are, and all under the guise of being recontextualized, like turning the sandbox into a desert, or an ant farm into a cave system. It all feeds back into the gameplay loop that, admittedly, survival games have been doing for years, and Grounded doesn't really expand upon, but that's for a gameplay review. But that survival game loop of gathering materials so you can craft more stuff, explore more stuff, and gather more materials, doesn't work if the area you're exploring isn't exciting or diverse enough. This is a problem I expected Grounded to have. I thought the whole game would be grass jungles, but there are makeshift swamps, deserts, oceans, caverns, and even industrial areas. Speaking of those industrial areas, at the centre of the most dangerous biomes are the labs, which provide a haven at the centre of these inhospitable habitats. The feeling of crossing the threshold from a submerged cave system or elevated branch jungle into the futuristic labs lets you breathe a sigh of relief, as you feel like you've just conquered one of the toughest challenges the game can throw at you. And then you look back at what you've done and realise you did the equivalent of walking half a metre, which is kind of my favourite thing about Grounded, how the game emulates scope. Most games, like God of War, present the player with a skybox that they have to eventually reach by crossing a vast and precarious environment. Grounded is also able to do this, but it's once again recontextualizing the scope. Reaching the trash bags off in the distance doesn't seem like a huge goal, but Grounded makes it one based on how big the trash looks from far away and how gargantuan it is up close. I love how Grounded turns mundane tasks into extraordinary adventures that requires hours of planning and preparation to make sure you don't mess up and lose your entire inventory. And when you finally accomplish that goal, be it crafting a new piece of your base or finally taking down a wolf spider, you always feel incredibly accomplished, even though in the grand scope of things, what you did was totally insignificant. Of course, it's not perfect, and this review is a bit disproportionate to how much I actually like Grounded, but that's because this is a world review, and the world of Grounded is new, creative, and fantastic. My biggest criticism of Grounded's world is how little it communicates to the player through its UI. For example, the map screen only tells you the location of the labs, not how to get there. You'd think the entrance to the hedge lab would be somewhere around the stone wall that's blocking me from entering it. So naturally, you'd walk around that entire wall looking for an entry point, not realizing the way you get in was decimeters away from where you were looking. It's the same with the pond lab. Nowhere does it tell you how to find the cave that leads to the lab. If this game hadn't been released in early access, I probably wouldn't be reviewing it because I'd still be stuck trying to figure out where to go. Grounded is one of the most ingenious ideas for a world I've seen in a long time. Instead of being a sci-fi game that creates unfathomable oddities and extraterrestrial exotics, Grounded is a game that focuses on recontextualizing the mundanities of your childhood. Featuring an impressive diversity of biomes, boosted by a core gameplay loop that entices you to keep exploring, Grounded is lofty with creative world building.